You're listening to the Ari Zoldan Show on Google, Amazon, and wherever else you get your streaming service. I am here with Sergiy Tsivkach. He is the CEO of UkraineInvest, which is a part of the Ukrainian government, and I'm happy to have him on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you for this invitation.
So tell me, obviously, we've heard a lot about Ukraine, the war. Not so many people heard about UkraineInvest. If you could get into what the mission of the company is and how it's playing an overall impact in the economy.
Thank you very much. So we are not a company as such, so we do not invest. We are office of the government of Ukraine that is responsible for attraction and support of investments into Ukraine. We were formed as a donor-supported organization in 2016. Since 2018, we were transformed into a full-fledged state institution. So we are now part of the cabinet of the ministers of Ukraine, and we are financed by the budget of Ukraine. All our services are free of charge to investors. So we act as a regular investment promotion agency. This is a very widespread experience. We have like Select USA, sister organization in the US. We have institutions like that in all OECD countries. So our responsibility is to explain to investors how to conduct business in Ukraine, make sure that they are in good contact with regional and central authorities, that they are in touch with regional businesses. We want to make sure that businesses that are entering Ukraine for the first time, that they would feel that level playing field. So they will feel the same as Ukrainian companies in Ukraine, understand the environment and do business effectively. Also, we support companies when they already do business in Ukraine. If they are faced with any administrative or bureaucratic hurdles, they can apply to us and we will support them. We also promote Ukraine very actively. Only during last year, we have covered audience of 15 million people throughout the world. We regularly give interviews, we participate in conference with top players like CNN, Sky News, Washington Post, New York Times, and all other medias. Since 2020, when myself and my team was appointed, we have managed to attract and unlock $1.8 billion in foreign direct investment into Ukraine.
And tell me, Sergiy, who is investing in Ukraine and is now the opportunity?
Well, many companies. And we had a very good promo campaign before London conference that was held on 21st and 22nd of June. It was called Ukrainian Recovery Conference, annual conference on Ukraine. And in our promo campaign, we have showed international businesses that already operate in Ukraine. And many were surprised. These companies here from 1993, 1995, companies like Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Bayer, Shell, ArcelorMittal, and many other international players. Also, we are witnessing a very serious interest from new companies that are interested to invest in Ukraine. At the moment, we have a pipeline of $2.3 billion in investments that are planning projects in Ukraine. Not all of them are foreign, some of them are local, but still it's a very good result, taking into account full-scale military aggression against Ukraine. So companies, they are not only sympathetic to the case of Ukraine because we were illegally attacked, but they also understand that Ukraine is a profitable case, that you can do business in Ukraine, you can make profits, and you can increase your investments in new projects in Ukraine, around Ukraine, or throughout the world.
And what are some of the sectors or areas of business that you think is prime for opportunity? And which of the sectors do you feel investors should shy away from?
Well, let's talk about practical experience. So during the war, we have seen mostly investment projects are being implemented in three sectors, namely logistics, agri-processing, and manufacturing of construction materials. Companies like Kingspan, for example, Irish global company that produces energy-efficient construction materials. They were the first ones, one of the first ones, to leave Russia and the first ones to announce significant investment project in Ukraine. $300 million will be invested in order to build 6 to 7 factories in the west of Ukraine, and they will produce various products for construction sector. Also, companies like Sergiy, for example, Polish company, they invested now $20 million to produce tiles, also construction materials. Companies like Bayer planning to invest now and already investing 60 million euros in Ukraine. Nestle, 40 million euros. Carlsberg, $40 million they're investing in Ukraine now. Also, companies like CRH, new investment of $20 million, and more to come. This is very strong signal, not only for Ukraine, but also for international partners, because some of these companies, they operate, as I said, in Ukraine for many years. And if you operate in country and still plan new investment during the war, it means that you believe this country and you believe that you will make profit and take your investments back and then reinvest.
But which sectors, let's say, just to push back, which sectors do you feel people at this time should shy away from?
There is not a single sector that people should shy away from, apart maybe from the regions that are still affected significantly by the war. So we have very strong metal sector developed in the east of Ukraine. And about 50% of Ukrainian metallurgy was destroyed by Russian attacks. So there is a significant investment opportunity, but it will come probably a bit at a later stage when Ukraine will have proper security arrangement after our victory, and investment will be very significant there. And also maybe some mining options, because east of Ukraine is famous for its natural resources. And that is something that will be definitely explored probably at a later stage. At the same time, when we talk about pharmaceuticals, healthcare, metalworking in other regions, machinery building, construction materials, agri-processing or agriculture as such, all these sectors, they need investments now. And I can say that it's kind of a unique opportunity right now, because many Ukrainian companies that were not thinking about private equity investments before the war, now they're happy to do that and enter into cooperation with private equity funds, with investment funds, because there is shortage of finance at the moment. So again, once Albert Einstein, he said that opportunity always lies in the middle of the difficulty. And I think that would summarize this, so the difficulty is very significant, but opportunity to invest is huge as well in Ukraine.
Certainly, and I'm happy you're bringing this up now. Along with opportunity, obviously comes with risk, and there's no question there would be a high level of risk here. But what does Ukraine do to be able to de-risk some of these investment opportunities?
Ukraine is doing significant steps. So first of all, we are thinking about de-risking from inside of Ukraine. So we have draft law in Ukrainian parliament that will allow Ukrainian Export Credit Agency to ensure foreign direct investment into Ukraine and Ukrainian investment as well. So not only covering export contracts, but also working on inward de-risking. Also, we have some very interesting state incentives programs, like the law on support for projects with significant investments. If you invest 20 million euros or more, then you will be able to get 30% of state support of the capex, of the total capex. But also, more importantly, you will get a special investment agreement with the government of Ukraine. And in that agreement, company will have all obligations stipulated from investor side, what they will do, when they will bid, how much they will invest in Ukraine. But also there will be a commitment from state of Ukraine to maintain business conditions at the same level as of the time of signing this special investment agreement. So if there will be changes to regulations and they will not be in favor of investment projects. This will not apply to a specific project. Right now, we're working on legislative initiative, and it has already been passed in its first reading in the Parliament of Ukraine. And in a week, there will be second reading that will decrease threshold of such investments to 12 million euros. Also, the President of Ukraine has signed just a couple of days ago a decree that will enable Ukraine to focus more on protection of rights for investors. So now there is a talk of creation of specialized courts that will look at investment cases if they will be taken to court. So that's the Ukrainian part. Well, in addition to that, we also have full-scale digitalization, so bureaucracy is declining. We have privatization process, so many state-owned enterprises will be given in private hands. That will also decrease bureaucracy and any issues that are related to the rule of law. So Ukraine has changed significantly, and we continue doing that. Now, let's talk about international partners. US Development Finance Corporation. They announced a program that will cover investments into Ukraine against war and political risks. They will not only cover projects that have US connection, they also can cover projects from any country or from Ukraine itself into Ukraine in order to provide such a cover. MIGA, World Bank's group, they already provided first a contract for war and political risk insurance in amount of about $40 million for project, and they are expecting new projects to come. Export credit agencies of G7 countries, very active. They are, most of them, already ready to cover investment projects from their countries. So we're talking about Italy, we're talking about the UK, we talk about other G7 and European countries. So this is happening. We need to see more projects from Ukraine and from outside of Ukraine, because supply should meet the demand, and we need to increase demand. And London conference said a lot about that. A lot of commitments from international partners. Ukraine will receive support of up to $60 billion as a result of this conference. And in addition to that, France and other countries, they announced new programs for Ukraine to cover investments, to cover cooperation with Ukraine, as well as Poland, for example. Now they're working on a draft law to ensure investments into Ukraine. But this is state support. However, we need to see more engagement of private sector, because at the end of the days, these institutions, they have to cover private projects, and we need to see more interest. We have projects, but we would be keen to see not only kind of tens of them. We are happy to see hundreds of them. And businesses, they need to understand that Ukraine is not a charity project. It's a profitable business case.
And let's switch gears to innovation. What sectors are on the radar for Ukraine, whether it be biotech, electric vehicles, new technology? What's on Ukraine's radar?
IT and fintech in Ukraine is very strong. It's the single sector in Ukraine that was on increase compared to 2021 in 2022. Well, that's probably explainable because IT companies, they're not heavy kind of assets established, so they're more flexible, they can move around, they can provide services from several places. And Ukraine has a very serious talent pool. Several unicorns were created in Ukraine, and we all know them. Big companies in IT and fintech sector globally were created by Ukrainians, like PetCube, Grammarly, and the other. Out of 500 Fortune 500 companies, 100 companies use IT outsourcing from Ukraine. Companies like Boeing, Google, Base, and the other. So we have very strong potential, but not only potential, already practical results in terms of IT and fintech. I think that agri-tech, it's the next big one. We are breadbasket of the Europe or of the world, as we are called, but we export a lot of raw materials. And agri-tech and agri-processing will enable us to create more value added in Ukraine, increase our GDP, and make sure that we not only rebuild in Ukraine, we are economically transforming Ukraine. That is task number one.
Let's also now switch to, this question may be a little bit out of the box, but are you seeing, from an immigration standpoint, are you seeing anybody moving to Ukraine or back to Ukraine to be able to support the war efforts?
Very good question. Thank you very much for this question. We have seen that people are coming back to Ukraine, but not at a massive level, because, well, many of them are women, and children, some men that were able to leave Ukraine because of the standards for mobilization. So if you have 3 kids, for example, or you have a kid that you need to take care after they were able to leave, so they also working, some of them from abroad. But most importantly, there was a survey among people that left Ukraine after the full-scale invasion, and more than 80% of them said that at the end of the war, they will come back to rebuild the country. So they still have very strong desire to come back to Ukraine, and they say that we left our country only on a temporary basis.
Where did they go? What countries did they go to?
Many people went to Poland, United Kingdom, European countries. Less people went to North Americas, but some of them did, like Canada and United States. I think that people that went to European countries and the United Kingdom will have more kind of chances to go back. Because when you go to North America, sometimes, it's a very different life, different time zone. So maybe it will be more difficult for them to come back, but some of them will, definitely.
How about countries like Malta, Cyprus? Have you seen any movement into those countries?
Well, I'm sure there is movement to those countries, but we mostly see movement to countries like Poland, Czech Republic, around Ukraine. This is what we are seeing as of today. Some of them went to Germany as well, Denmark. And taking this occasion, I would like to thank all partners who created conditions for our people to be able to work. And most of them, which is very important, they do not take social benefits only. They are actively looking for working places, and they contribute to development of communities in countries where they went to.
Let's move back into innovation a bit. We have a few minutes left. Where does artificial intelligence lie in right now as it relates to the state of affairs of innovation and where Ukraine sits? Where does AI fit?
AI is a very important next step for every country. And Ukraine has proved that we're not only effective in terms of private sector, in IT and fintech, we have very strong state digitalization program. We have Ministry of Digitalization in Ukraine, and our online portals to administrate businesses, to administrate social services, one of the best globally. And that has been confirmed by many agencies throughout the world. So in Ukraine, you can now register a company in one day, in a matter of minutes. You don't need to carry passports with you, any paper documents. You have all in one app, and these documents are accepted in every regional or central authority. When you go to Notary Public, you also get documents on your online, which is very effective. And I'm sure that AI will be a significant next step in order to build our, digital country, new country. But, well, again, AI is something new for state services, and precautions must be taken before kind of integrating AI effectively in your state system. At the same time, private sector is on daily basis using AI platforms in order to speed up processes for business operations.
And what advice do you have to potential investors thinking about coming into the country?
Advice is very simple. Start planning your investment today. It takes a lot of time to plan, before you go into implementation stage. When we talk about greenfield projects, industrial projects, it can easily take between 12 to 18 months to choose land plot, to obtain permissions, to appoint teams. At the same time, it costs very little to do that. In some cases, it costs less than 1% of the total cost of the investment project. Importantly, you do not have to be present for your planning. UkraineInvest and all our partners in government in the regions of Ukraine can support companies and help with planning process. So company can remotely work with us and go through that preparation stages already today. This will allow companies to start implementing projects when conditions will be suitable for them, but then they will get benefit of participating in the reconstruction of Ukraine, one of the first ones, and that would also bring them more profits. So that is my advice. If you are in sector like IT, there is no need to wait for anything. You can already cooperate with Ukraine because our company is open to cooperation. We are happy to support this. Some companies, they are waiting for reconstruction. They want to provide services and goods to Ukraine, and we receive many requests like this. We are thankful for that, but when the time will come, there will be clear and transparent program how to apply for a tender procedure and how to supply your goods and services. So I would not spend time on waiting how to supply services and goods. I would better spend time on planning investment project in Ukraine, because we also have localization laws, and some of the companies that will have physical presence in Ukraine, they will have benefits compared to companies from abroad if they want to participate in this process of rebuilding of Ukraine.
This has been extremely informative. Want to just thank you very much for being on the show. You've been listening to the Ari Zoldan Show. You could find this streaming on Google, Amazon, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your streaming service. Sergey, thank you very much. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Ari.